Hello there, good people, and welcome to another episode of the Finnovator with me, Stuart Bell, business coach and founder of Adere Coaching Consulting. And again, this week I want to share a training module that I developed, first developed a few years back, to help my clients undertake something which I, for some reason, a lot of times practice owners tend to put it to one side, and that is running client surveys. You know, sometimes when I speak to practice owners about this, I think partly they don't want to run through this process just in case they get really bad feedback or whatever the case may be, or they maybe trigger some people to exit, which generally never happens. But I think sometimes it's they don't know what to ask or they don't know what to use with the information. And that is what I'm going to cover off today, because for me, I've always seen client surveys as something that if you're going to do them, you want to do them as regularly as you possibly can, get the information, and more importantly, you want to do it in such a way that encourages clients to give you focused information, makes it easy for them to do so, and ultimately when you get the information off the bat, you can actually do something with it. There's nothing worse in my mind than doing a bunch of survey work, getting a bunch of information back, and then not really knowing what to do with it, not knowing how to implement it, and not knowing how to use it to improve things. So what I'm going to run you through here is a really simple system that I put together, which is almost like a pick list. But importantly, I'm going to answer some questions about how to deliver them, what to do with the information, and importantly, how to incorporate them into your communications with clients. So not only can they see that you're taking an interest, but you're using the feedback off the back of it and helping it to improve ultimately the work that you do with them. So I hope you get a lot out of this, the client survey system. And as always, if you like the podcast, please just take a moment to pop over the review section and let me know what you like most. Anyway, I will get out of the way now and I'll hand you over to the client survey system. So I'm really keen to get stuck into your plans, as Tim is obviously, which is great. But first I want to run you through a bit of a done for you thing. How many people have done a client survey in the last 3 to 6 months? Okay. It's funny, you speak to most businesses and they go, yeah, client surveys are useful. It's good to do them. But often they're things that don't get done very often. Usually because they're an afterthought, or usually because, you know, it's just something that doesn't seem to come. But I think the big idea I want to put forward is the question I want to ask, has anyone seen this movie Inside Out? It's a good movie. I know it's just me, but I can't watch this movie without shedding a little tear, because I won't spoil it for you, but it's the story of this idea that there are inside your head are 3 people or 5 people. There's Joy, who's really happy. There's this guy who's just the angry dude. He's the scared dude. She's the kind of jealous and offhand. And this is the sad. And the movie's all about the importance of sadness in people's lives. And the fact that it's something it can be a force for good. But I won't spoil the movie for you because it's a kid's movie. I'm sure you won't watch it. But I guess I wanted to put it out there because the idea is, you watch it on the plane on the way home. Big idea is if you could jump inside your clients' heads or your best client's head and you had free reign to jiggle around in there and kind of find out the information you wanted to know about how they perceive you, about why they use you, about how they look at your ongoing service, what would you be looking to find out? I mean, is there anybody in the room who wouldn't like that opportunity to jump inside the client's head and find out? Yeah, it'd be useful, right? I mean, I'd like to jump inside all your heads and have a look and have a jiggle around. And that's really, when you get the client survey piece right, that's what happens. You get that opportunity. So take a moment just to write down on a piece of paper, just in front of you, one thing, the one bit of information. If you had free reign on the psychology of your clients, the way they see the world, what's the one thing that you would want to take back with you that you perceive would totally transform your business, your service offering, all that sort of stuff? Do you like my shoes is probably not the one you want to do, unless you really need some new shoes. You got it? I think the challenges in client surveys that I often see is you kind of go to put together a survey and you don't know what you want to ask, right? By the way, I developed this a little bit afterwards. We did our stuff, so hence the reason. You don't know what to ask. Should I ask that question? Should I ask this question? Sometimes you get the question wrong. What comes back is not that great. The second question that often comes up is, well, how do I do it? Do I do it via an online survey? Do I jump on a phone? Do I need to include a prize? Do I need to not include a prize? Do I come in short, long? Do you remember that movie, Dude, Where's My Car? It's so bad, it's good. Ashton Kutcher is fine. And we've got that they're driving through the takeaway, and he goes, I'll have a sweet and sour pork and a rice. And she goes, and then? and some crackers. And she goes, and then? And a drink? And then? Nothing more. And then? No, and then? And then? No, and then? Anyway. But that's the thing. It's like when all this information comes back, what do you do with it? Sometimes it just sits there and nothing happens. And a friend of mine who runs an outsourced marketing agency recently sort of did a survey. And firstly, I looked at it and I was reading the questions. And I was just like, Carl, these are the wrong questions, like completely the wrong questions. And then I gave him some feedback personally and he was like, thanks. And nothing came of it. What's my likelihood of actually giving him feedback again? Pretty low. Because what's clear to me is he wants to know a different set of things which got nothing to do with my experience and all about whether I'm going to promote his business. And secondly, he doesn't do anything with it. It's lip service. I think the danger is if you don't get this right, if you don't do this well, there's all this insight. We can sit here and talk about value propositions. We can talk about marketing. We can talk about service offers. We can talk about value piece. But it's like Jeff Bezos it's apparently in the early days of Amazon, used to sit in cafes and go up to random strangers and go, excuse me, do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions about your buying habits? And he asked questions in such a way that he would get feedback, which obviously was very useful because he built an absolute mecca. Some of the things around what should I start selling? You probably don't want to start selling bowling balls and things, so he started selling books, and that's how Amazon kicked off, right? I think what we want from this is great questions. Great questions that don't just go on a scale of 1 to 5, how good's our coffee? You want to get questions that unlock the information about, what they want. That whole Henry Ford, if I ask people what they want, they would have told me a faster horse. We don't actually know whether he said that, but it's a great quote. We want to understand that, maybe ask the question that unlocks the need so then we can interpret it and build the thing that people didn't know they want. Steve Jobs also said the same thing. He said the problem with focus groups is people often don't know what they want until you show it to them. You get people responding and you get good quality responses, not just tick boxes. And you're able to take that insight and put it to play in such a way that not only is useful, but you can do it pretty regularly. My view is if you get this stuff right, it's just rocket fuel. It'll just it fuels your development. And also, how good is it when you get some feedback from a client? When it's good feedback, it's strong, it's about your team members, about something you do, it makes you feel good. And equally, when you get feedback about something you can fix, and you go and fix it, you feel good about that too, right? So let's run through some key principles which will help, I think, implement it, and then I'll talk you through the tool itself. So, has anyone read The Time Traveler's Wife, the book? It's a good book, great book. The movie's okay. It's just a crazy concept. It's about this couple, Henry and I can't remember her name, and he travels through time. So the first time they meet each other, he's a fully grown man and she's a small child. And then he does it, obviously, as she gets older, she sees him more and more and they form a relationship. And then the first time he sees her, he's a young man and she's a young girl and he's never met her before, but he's known her all her life. It's a crazy book. It's actually all about the fact that the lady who wrote it, Audrey Niffenegger, was, she'd had a bunch of relationships where people weren't around. So she came up with the concept. Great book. But the interesting thing about the final scene, which I won't share with you, she wrote the final scene first. And the final scene's beautiful. She wrote it backwards. And often some of the best books, they start with, how do I get to this place? And then work backwards from there. And not from a client survey point of view, this is how you should start the survey. What do you want to know? Not what questions you ask, but what's the outcome? How do I want to apply this? Another example of this is if I've sat down with any of you and planned out a workshop or a webinar or a seminar, you'll know we break it into 4 pieces. You know why this matters? We've just covered that off with the big idea, challenges and outcome. What we're covering, the principles, which is what we're doing now. How, which is the nuts and bolts, and the now, what you do with it next. Make sense? You deliver it that way, but you always start with the outcome at the end. If you're doing your review meeting, same thing. Where do I want to take clients to at the end of this, and how do I get them there? Make sense, Jason?
Sounds like a sanity point.
Yeah, well, that's kind of true. I mean, if you think about it, Brett, you'd probably know this better than I would, but trial lawyers start with the outcome and work backwards from there. I need to find a way. How am I going to prove this guy or girl is guilty? Okay, let's construct that case backwards. Principle 2, short really is best. Generally best practice, and I've read a lot of topic books and blogs and about best practice in there. Generally, 5 questions. That's what you've got. If you can ask 5 great questions that make sense, you're going to get great answers. It's the Yoda effect. The third key principle is kind of about what you do with the information. Can you imagine if you've got a magician in front of you and they do that kind of, you've seen the trick where they take someone's watch and then they, put it under a hanky and they smash it or they make it disappear, right? Can you imagine if they didn't give the watch back? That would kind of suck, wouldn't it? The whole point of it is you give them the watch, it disappears. You go, okay, where's the watch? The watch is gone. That wouldn't work. And the thing is, if you're approaching client surveys, if they give you some information, they give you some insight, and if a client really likes what you do and they take some time to fill out that form and really share, you've got to give it back. You've got to come back to them to share with them, you know what? This is what we did with it. There's kind of 3 things you need to do, and the sequence works like this. Number 1, I'm running a survey. What I'd like to know is this. Would you mind helping me out? Once you've got it, you put through the information. Even if it's a short one, you want to go back and go, we ran this survey. Thank you so much. This is what it told us. This was the good stuff and this was the bad stuff. And I just want to thank you again for being part of it. And then maybe a couple of months later, hey, I want to give you an update. As a result of that survey, we did this and this and this. Just want to share that with you because it's really important to me to know that we take this and we put it to work. Make sense? And I'm going to give you the actual templates for this as well so you can run it. Useful so far? Principle 4 is I don't want you to have to work on this too hard. If you have to sit down and start from scratch every single time, then that's going to be a really hard way to do. So what you need is a pick list of 20 or 30, maybe 40 great questions. And you can just go, let's run a 5-question survey. Tick, 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 tick. There you go. How easy would it be to run a survey on a regular basis if you just had a list of questions you could run through? That'd be much easier than having to come up with it. Number 5 is you wouldn't ask that gentleman's feedback on a shampoo or a hair care product, would you? You wouldn't want to sort of email a bunch of mature age clients and ask them about their attitude towards using, cash flow savings tools, how they found it easy and vice versa. And I think one of the things is often we do a survey and we just go, I'll send it out to everybody. But you don't want to know from everybody. Often you want to know from a very specific group. I'm thinking of launching a new offer just for families. Just pick 20 clients or 10 clients in your mind that you want to know from. If you want to know about your proposition to pre-retirees or post-retirees, just pick 10 or 20 clients who met that profile and send it to them. And don't pick the ones who don't engage, don't listen to your advice, because let's be honest, that's going to cloud the response, isn't it? You're going to get responses from people who, unless your specific thing is to find out why people are disengaged and what it is, you want to know the opinions and insight and information from people who are likely to be really good clients of yours moving forward. That makes sense? Okay. So do me a favor. Take a moment to think this one through. Which of your types of your clients do you feel that you already understand best? And conversely, which are the types of clients that you feel in your business right now that you understand least? Take a moment. Or if you've got an idea, just shoot them up. And I'll put them up here. Because we could be someone in the room who does a bit of research or has a bit of insight and they can actually share some of that insight with you. So let's start with best. Which clients in your business right now do you feel, I already really understand them. Understand what they value, understand what they know. You'd be pretty clear, wouldn't you, Caroline? Junior doctors, senior doctors? Okay, you understand these guys really, really well. And I wouldn't mind just sort of overseas doctors. Beautiful. And the benefit of doing that is, I know we talked about this, is how to deliver certain things. The question you asked earlier about reviews, what's going to work and what's not going to fly. As a result, you can tailor your offer not only to what's going to, work for you, but also what's going to work for them, right? What else? Who else do people... Jeff, you must feel like you understand a certain target market really, really well. Cool. You understand those motivations really, really well because we've spoken about it and you light up whenever you talk about it. Who else? Who else was going to talk? Greg. Baby boomers. Any specific types of boomers? Just in general? You understand the aspirations, the hopes, the dreams, You know what I mean? What about the ones that we feel like we don't understand well at all? The least. Gen Y. Okay. Who else? Lawyers? Millennials. What's the difference? You don't understand me. No, I don't. Answer the questionnaire. So people, and you know what? It's interesting. I've read a bunch of articles on this and about the financial literacy thing and the impact that has on people who are financially unsophisticated. Because we talked about it last time, the Dunning-Kruger effect, where you'd assume that people who don't know a lot about something would be nervous about what they know, and the opposite is true. the less people know about something, the more confident they are about it. It's that whole, you know what? These politicians don't know what they're doing. Give me control of the country. I'll run it. And then you sort of, like the conversation I had with Hermione about the more you know about something, the less you realize you know. Okay, should we do the how? Let's do the how. This is a relatively quick one. You'll be happy to hear. Where's my book gone? It's over here. Okay, we're on page. Sandra's already there, so she'll. Page. Sorry? 45. There we go. Okay. So, can we do this together? Because I'd love you to walk out of here with a survey ready to go. So, it's really simple. We just fill out the top to get in the right sense, and then we're going to run through and create the survey. The first thing I want to know is, what do you most want to learn? We've already kind of covered that question. You might just pull that across. Alternatively, if there's something else which has popped up, I want you to just write it in there. What's the thing? By the way, the reason I want you to write this is we're going to take a photo of this, and you can either send it off to your team and get them to implement it straight away, or if you just don't know how to do it, I'm going to help you out. Yeah. Okay, so what do you most want to learn? What's that I'm inside your head and I can see your thoughts thing? What do you most want to learn? And write it in the box. I want to learn how to ride. I want to learn how to fight bulls. That's what I want to learn. I do. Do you want to know something about the value proposition you've got? Do you want to know something about your service offering? Do you want to know something about your marketing? Do you want to know something about your pricing? Do you want to know why they don't refer? Okay, so you just want to know what's the one thing we could do. You want to know what you can do more that's going to add more value. So if investment returns didn't matter, if you can't answer the question investment returns, what's the one thing that you think is most important? That would be essentially outside investment returns, not asking that question, but outside investment returns, what's the thing that our clients value most? That's what you want to know. Yeah. Okay, that's the question. That's the desire. Just write that in the top there. Beyond investment returns, what is the thing that our clients desire, like the most? Who's got it? All good? Perfect. Okay, step 2. Who is best equipped in your client base to answer that question? Which kind of clients? Who's the source? Who could best provide you with the answer? So, for example, your answer may be clients who value the investment returns most of all. Or maybe it's clients who we know don't value the investment return as much as others. You've got 2 options there. Or you could run it to both and compare. People like being asked for their information. They just don't like being asked at length for information that is irrelevant. Wait, if they said, hey, can I just ask you one quick question while I got you on the phone? Not, let's put you through to another thing which will do it. But can I ask a question? On a phone call, what's the most important thing that we do for you in this call? And is it A, short phone call? Is it B, solve your problem immediately? I'd be like, straight away. The problem with corporate stuff is they send you these big, long surveys that got nothing. What's your name? What's your demographic? Where do you live? Or they do it in a way that is just inconvenient. Next up, this is really key. Tim's already there. When you get that information back, what are you going to do with it? So how are you going to use that? How are you going to apply that information to help you improve the business, solve a problem, fix a thing? So your question is about investment returns. Would you use that information to change the way that you market? Would you use that information potentially to improve part of your discussion at review? So would you cut certain services? Market the importance of other services more than others? Would you potentially look to add services and delete others? Beautiful. I'll put that down. I think it's a good outcome. The reason I'm asking this is I don't want you to just do a survey and go, oh, I've got some information. I want you to go in there thinking, I'm going to apply this in a certain way. If yours is about adding a services, hopefully please put in there that you're also going to cut some services. Because you keep adding and adding and adding, you're actually going to make it less useful. I can't remember, who were we talking, was Rep? Were we talking about this the other day where we said there's a point, someone was saying you get too much information. It actually ruins the information, the good information gets lost. It's like profit, was it portfolio management? If you got more than about 7 managers in there, you sort of stuff up the whole returns. That was the problem with multi-managers. Average returns. Was it manager of managers? I can't remember. The manager of managers of managers. The manager of the multi-managers who manage the managers. That should have been not a... Well, do you want the MER, ICR, or IQS? Anyway. Okay. So all I need you to do now, are you clear on who you're going to work with? I want you to just go through and pick 5. So I've even done some templates in there. I'll make it really easy for you. So if you want to send it out, the first one is a survey request. Hey, Tim, your opinion is probably the most important insight of all, so I was hoping you might have a moment to share it with me. The client survey we're doing is about topic, value. It's really important you tell them what it's about. Give them the context because that'll enable them to give you the feedback. It's a 5-question affair or a 3-question. It's super simple and it's only going to take 6 minutes or 4 minutes or 5 minutes. I actually would recommend that, by the way, when you're doing it, actually take a moment to record how long it takes. That makes a huge difference if you actually tell them it's a 6-minute or a 4-minute. It'd be great to help us. As an incentive, if you want to do this, we'll be giving away 2 gold class movie passes to someone who submits drawn randomly. You don't have to do this, and in many cases, if they're clients who love what you do, this probably isn't going to incentivize them to do it one way or another. But if you really, really want to get it back, it's shown that there has been research that's shown that the scale of the reward on offer will increase the likelihood of completing it. As I said, that is mainly for non-client bases, though. It's for random people. Is that useful? Would you mind? Second one is you'd send after something's come back, you've collated? Yeah. Collated, thank you, the results. Hey, Tim, just want to say thank you for completing the survey. I want to share a little about what we learned from it. The main feedback we learned was bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. What was really useful for us was this and this. And what we learned we may need to improve is this and this. I think that improve thing is really important. You shouldn't gloss over it. I think you should open up. I want to share this as a courtesy, but also let you know that we take it on board and we'll be acting. Rachel, unfortunately, you've not weren't the winner of the gold class, but we're running another survey with another prize soon, if you choose to do it. I have to point out, I'm sure for a legal reason, that if you do have a competition in the state of New South Wales, you do actually have to get a license. I think it's for games of luck, but not, I can't remember. Anyway, found that out the hard way when we did a raffle at a convention once, and someone came up and said, "Do you have a license?" No, you need to get a license for a raffle. And then finally, let's say a few months later, you think that everyone's forgotten about it. Send out an email again. It says, hey, a few months ago we ran a survey asking for clients for feedback on. We've done some work on the areas people said we can improve. Whoops, shall I move on? There we go. And I want to circle back and share it as A, general courtesy, and B, to let you know we really appreciate it. If you recall, the main feedback we received was this. In the response, we've done the following. Updated our website, launched a new service offering. Thanks again for your input. Should anything else come to mind, further feedback. By the way, if you think there's anybody out there who might be interested in the new elements we've launched, we'd love you to put our name in front of them so we can meet them. What do you reckon? Yeah, I mean, if you want to put at the end, any additional comments? And you get great comments like, I only eat marsupial food, which is my favorite. We put dietary requirements out. Chris, God bless him, wrote, I'm on a marsupial diet. Literally, Jennifer was running around Googling, like, what's a marsupial diet? There's an email thread between the hotel going, I'm not sure, is that a real thing? I'm like, Jen, it's Chris. He's taking the piss. It's like, get him a plate of leaves. That's all he's eating. Okay. Should we talk about, we've sort of touched on incentives. Should we talk a bit about technology? Is anybody already using technology to get this stuff out? What do you use? Great. What's your percentage return rate on exit surveys? Yeah. Useful. It's good. A lot of people, by the time the exit survey comes along, they're like, no, can't be bothered. But if you can get a couple of responses, it's good. Like MailChimp is one that people often use. So SurveyMonkey. MailChimp's yeah, of course. SurveyMonkey. It's MailChimp, SurveyMonkey, CRM Gorilla, whatever it's called. SurveyMonkey is probably a really simplified one. We use Jotform. I use Jotform because it's insanely powerful. It has a lot of integrations. Although with Jotform, use the one-page questionnaire. There's 2 options. One, it looks terrible. It looks like it was put together by a preschooler because it's got lots of different... But if you switch it over to the one page, it actually looks really nice. I like it because you can do everything from integrate it with Google Sheets. You can integrate it with other things. You can send automated emails. You can do if and then statements. The other one that I think a lot of people really like because it's kind of like the Apple... It's really good looking. It's Typeform. It's also insanely expensive. Well, not insanely expensive, but it's a little bit more expensive. I think if you choose one of those, I mean, there's 100 different ways of doing it, but these are probably the 3 that I'd use. I think Jotform integrates with a number of different CRMs, including Salesforce as well. In terms of putting it together, personally, if you have a team member who's good at doing this, if anybody in the room here is going to sit down and do a survey yourself and put it together, you might just be doing it wrong. Alternatively, we send ours through to Automation Agency, which I know, Glenn, you use Automation Agency, right? Yep. So they are a third-party provider who basically just do all sorts of marketing tests, update our website, bunch of stuff. They charge us a flat $300 a month. Or we have another relationship with a business called You Are Brisk Source. Don't ask me why they call it that, which is a flat sort of $13 to $15 an hour, depending on how many you buy. And they just charge an hourly rate. And they do everything from, again, website updates. We just shoot it through to them, say, set up this questionnaire. Is that helpful? I'll do your deal. If you want to run one of these and you're happy for us to give you the link and to run it through our questionnaire, or you don't have someone in your office who does it, if you take a photo of your questionnaire and you email it through to Jen before the end of the day, I'll put it through to BriskSource. We'll foot the bill and we'll get this up and running, and we'll share the results back to you as soon as they come back. All you need to do on top of that is just give us actually, we'll set it up, send it through to you, you can send it out, and then when it's finished, we'll send back the results. How's that? If you don't have someone in your office to do it, because I'd love to kickstart this as a habit, and if that's the easiest way of doing it, we'll make it happen. Sound good? Yes. If you're just doing it a few clients, I'm saying if you're already well into this, which I know you guys are, just literally send that through to your team right now. Take a photo, send it through, and say, hey, can you guys set this up and get it out straight away? I'm just saying if you don't have someone in your office who can set up these surveys, they don't know how to use Jotform, sorry if I wasn't clear, don't know how to use Typeform, and you don't want to do it yourself, the options are, you've got a couple of outsourced providers who can do it. Automation Agency, if you want to get a whole bunch of stuff done, you sign up for them, flat monthly fee, unlimited marketing tasks, or a BriskSource, which we use both of them, who charge, you buy a package of hours and they only charge you for the work done. So BriskSource, if you've got nobody in your office who does these little marketing tasks and you think you do a lot of them every month, Automation Agency can be pretty cost effective. However, if it's only, when I need it every now and again, then something like a BriskSource where they only you only sort of pay for it when you actually need it. Does that make sense? You could go to Upwork as well, but then you've got to go and find someone and hire them. But if you don't have someone who can set these up and you don't want to engage one of these yet and you want some help, take a photo of your questionnaire, shoot it through to Jen or help@idarea.com.au and we'll set it up and shoot you back the link and we can get this underway. Sound good? Was that useful? Sweet. So there you have it, guys and girls. I hope this has been useful. As you would know if you're a regular listener, we've taken the podcast in a little bit of a new direction. That's not to say we're not going to continue having great guests on and exploring them like we did with Alan Smith recently. And a bunch of others in the past. Some great recordings if you haven't gone back and look at them. But we've taken it in a direction. I want to share more of what I've been doing in the coaching space for the last 6, 7, 8 years and kind of make available outside of the program a bit of insight into what my coaching is all about and how I've worked with businesses and I guess how it's evolved. So if you're enjoying it, please let me know. If you don't think it's great, I'd love you to drop me a line at Stuart, STEWART, @idarea.com.au because ultimately I want to be led by what people listen to. And similarly, if you can think of a topic that you'd love me to cover off or even a guest that you'd like to put forward, and maybe it's you, please drop me a line because if you've got a story to tell, I'd like to help you to share it more widely. That's it from me. I hope you've got a lot out of this episode, and I'll see you in the next couple of weeks. Bye.